Welcome back, everyone, as we're ready to dive in, still, as the Latin American play-day still goes on, of course, and, well, Fluke, it's been a weird series so far.
Yeah. Let's see if it keeps going, as we, for the first time ever, go into our third map in a best of 3. Bank. A famous bank in the region.
A famous bank?
Yeah, it's a very famous bank.
Where's the bank actually in America? Where is it? What city is it in?
I'm not sure, actually. I've never dug in the question. I don't know if there's any people in the chat that know the lore of the bank. They seem to know the lore of a lot of stuff. They like to bring it all in. But has it ever been explained what bank?
Well, it's in America. We know that so far.
Yeah.
You know, most of the maps are pretty standard in where they're from. You look at Cafe, Russia, Oregon, America as well, obviously in Oregon State. President Plain, it's in Heathrow Airport, surprisingly enough. What else we got? Hereford, it's in Hereford in England, in the UK. We're in a roll. What else? Villa is. Where's Villa at? Do you know exactly where in Italy it is?
I don't know exactly.
Your region?
No.
Tuscany.
Oh. Is that the wine region?
Yes.
Well.
Don't know if you've ever looked at the outside aesthetics of Villa.
There's a lot of wine.
But instead, we're going to be looking at the inside aesthetics of Bank.
Less exciting than wine. Although I guess it's money, so you can buy wine.
Gold bricks.
Yeah. Good old bricks and ACOGs. Echo, Mira Habana Thatcher taken off the table.
Yeah, standard stuff.
Do you know what could be worth pointing out right now is that MIBR are starting on the attack. And we've obviously seen a 7-1, and we've seen a 7-2, and out of that, only one of those rounds has been, or 2 of those rounds have been won by attackers. Out of all the rounds we've seen so far. So they've been complete sweeps generally, both games, and it has been so defender-sided across both. Monty swapped 6th pick, brought, as is Castle, 2 very slow passive play styles being duked out and swapped for 2 slightly more aggressive play styles.
So Castle there just for the sake of picking that, because that may try and lead MIBR on as if it's going to be a top floor where Castle is more commonly picked up. But if you are attacking Bank, you generally always pick 5 operators that deal with every single bomb site, because every single bomb site is defendable. You know, we've seen open areas as well from EU Playday. We've seen a team like Penta do that very proficiently. Top floor's common, you know, tellers can be a little bit risky, but still teams will go there and kind of favors the old roam game and that kind of things. But, you know, you look at basement, it's tough whenever you don't have the Habana available. You're limited now to the Maverick and the Thermite, and whenever I think of Bank, I just keep thinking back to the Trust Gaming, where they did not bring Maverick and only brought the one hard breach, and it severely damaged everything they tried to go for.
Yeah, that was the big thing about it, is obviously you can kind of talk about ways to push this one, and having the double hard destruction is just so necessary for a lot of these points in terms of the depth, in terms of the width, in terms of angles to hold.
Yeah.
The aggression coming from open area here from BMH and Alpha was pretty quick, but no bites as they both fall back to the point itself to try and hold it a little bit more passively, but they did look for something early and aggressive. Smoke is going to be dug in on Blue as tradition. You can see Capital making fast movements across the top of Square Skylight, and they know that they want to get this open, and Capital is a good man to do it.
I'm not a big fan of playing your Smoke as aggressive on the floor compared to some people. I generally like him played on site. I feel as if you need those smoke canisters as you get into the later stages of the game. I would like to, but you know, if you want to play the shotgun there, I would like to potentially see the mute, because mute can help out, of course, with any drones coming in, and even if a line can be brought, which is sometimes common for Brazilian teams, mute could be a great pickup for that standpoint. It's a risky one to go for, yes. Still, smoke has the advantages of trying to delay a lot of time in towards the server. I would like to see him paired up with a pulse, which is exactly what they're doing. They have the pulse below, relaying all of that information. And one thing that is kind of fell out of favor for a lot of, like, you know, European, Latin America teams, maybe not so much for NA, but Dirt Tunnel isn't really pressured compared to what it used to be. There is one player now in the sewers, and it will be Cyber. Let's see if Pulse kind of catches him out from that, because this could be tricky. And yes, I think he's just spotted him out. So now they know that MIBR are going to try and pressure them in, and he's actually going to go for the quick peek, and straight away Capitao shuts him down, and I just don't know what Pulse was trying to expect to get out of that one, because that's a deadly one to go for, and now you've left your smoke in such a bad position.
Yeah, I really thought they could take him by surprise, but they just could not manage it, burning all of the ADSs, and that one gets through. There's the frag grenade, has to push aggressively and does, but doesn't find anything from it. A bit too slow, and Bullet shuts down RDZ, and that is the smoke off the table. Big operator, and there goes Jaeger as well. Wide peeking the man in dirt, and now we're suddenly looking down the barrel of a 5 against 2, and the only ones really left standing are just Kaid holding the angle. No real utility to stop this apart from the Nitro Cell, but you've got to have the best Nitro Cell of all time, as they have every single angle covered. The plant is coming in. This might and should catch one, as it does, and almost gets the second with the swing up, but that was a decisive close down against this point by MIBR.
That was a lot better from MIBR compared to their Cafe first round attack, and they looked as if they had a clear indication of what they wanted to push. Everything went for them. They burned up ADSs in blue. They tossed a nade. They had the peak. Perhaps they could have, you know, just not threw a non-cooked nade, because that was getting a little bit risky there. I'm actually surprised that Smoke didn't punish them with at least a kill. Looking for Org, they had the Pulse in a great position, and he just threw his life away, which meant they had to rotate in the Jaeger to try and defend the Smoke, which also meant Jaeger lost his life. So overall, because Pulse made that one move, it's cost 2 of his teammates their lives.
You know, it's the thing about those kind of maneuvers and moves, and whether we've already spoken kind of about the aggression and how you can get over-aggressive and that can really pull stuff apart. If it's an operator that can be as decisive as Pulse in that situation, then, you know, he was holding a lot of that together. He was that brick wall and kind of putting people off, and the fact that he was the first to go whilst Jaeger was 3 steps behind just kind of shows poor management of operators, really. They are also, as you said, playing the smoke that high up. It can be done, and if there's a region that often even roams smoke, it is Latin America. As rare as it can be, it's still done sometimes. And, you know, you think of playing those back where we saw Kaid and back where we saw that kind of back line and how much more useful it could have been, imagining if those were the last 2 operators left standing. Regardless, we're going to rotate over to CEO and see if they can opt for a more decisive hold on the top floor, bringing the castle to try and cover those long angles and make sure the window is a little bit, well, a little bit less of a complete control point.
So, MIBR, they'll have to change things up compared to what they went for on their basement, as it is a top floor. Top floor generically does favor the defense, because there's a lot of destructibilities that C4s can be a real nuisance with. For example, you can literally see 4 people before they even get in towards Skylight. Lobby is a big kind of roam point that even the defenders can try and take out. It limits how much MIBR can repel in towards those north windows, and ACOGs are always a big thing for the defense. Doc and my kind of Maestro and Echoes you'll see running about here, and Maestro already off the board due to a spawn peek I believe he went for.
Yeah, and that's kind of disappointing for me. The fact that obviously they're trying to use this big ACOG gun and spawn peek against MIBR and catch them by surprise. MIBR have been awake to this so far throughout the day, and they've been good at responding to it. And you know, it's your Maestro off the table. It just seems like mismanaged utility for me. Alpha finds Novus and at least brings a body back the opposite way, but again, in the kind of crux of that, you have the Doc who can do those kind of big top floor battles and is actually going to try and just take Banana aside. Now they're shutting down the Valkyrie underneath. They're trying to find her, and Alpha's going to rotate out the backside and try and find some safety across the Skylight stairs, which she has, thankfully, and it's a great big pick to drop the Buck, who cannot really do as much underneath as before. But before they even try that, they've still got to make sure they feel safe and secure. and which they obviously don't. Hugzord peering across towards the garage run-out.
Repel now from Bullet. They do have control of lobby, so doesn't really have to worry about much. And if Valkyrie does want to go for the jump out, then she's pretty much dead. So it's a 1-for-1 trade. And honestly, some teams they like to go for the 1-for-1 trade, because it means that you don't have to worry about the window game anymore, and that can be an important factor. And whenever Alpha is in a position which is not favorable to himself, may as well just go for it. And, well, here comes the hunting roamers. And all of a sudden, MIBR, they're on the back foot as they've lost 2 players, and 50 seconds ago, Hogsword isn't even in the bomb site, and Cyber, he's trying to inch his way forward, but even if he does get 1 kill, there has to be the refrag coming in from looking for Org.
Well, they pre-fire against it, and it was actually a huge run-out. The Hugzord couldn't quite close down. They got the kill there. They've got the body on the end of the corridor. They've got the one on the main stairs, and Highs finds Cyber. So now it's a 4 versus 1, all down to Hugzord, and this is pretty much a round over. Pre-fire is a huge amount, but with all these soft walls and all these angles and all these bodies all the way around, well, it's only going to end one way. Looking for Org, square us up at 1-1, and that is the first time that has happened in this series.
Solid from looking for Orc. They played the angles, they played the ACOGs. I was more impressed by the aggressive roam game. That isn't really taken upon by many teams, especially towards the mid floor. Yes, I know that nitro cells can always be a big thing, which is what MIBR wanted to try and cover, but the refrags really let them down. There were single pickups by looking for Orc, which should have been answered, but the call just wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing about what we've kind of commented on throughout this is the ability to kind of move as a unit and get those trades and get those refrags without it becoming something where it completely scuppers what you're attempting to achieve with your setup. Now, obviously, we saw some, well, at some points, unwarranted aggression, I would say, from the side of looking for Org, and it lost them the only operator that they lost in the previous round. But then later on in that very round, as you said, the Roamers went on the hunt, and one of them threw themselves out of a window to get a kill, and then managed to survive because of it. And hey, I guess that's just them kind of proving that, well, they do want to lean into the aggression that Bank can offer certain teams and certain playstyles. Heading now, obviously, down to Tellers instead of opting for the most contentious point, which is open area, but they are throwing some reinforcements and some kind of control on their side and making sure they can at least keep that possibility of the aggressive roam. Castle gonna lock off the corridor below as well, with unfortunately Miracle disconnecting and running on the spot. But that is always an unfortunate loss.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
Oh, rehost time.
It is a rehost time.
So we're about to comment there the kind of aggressive standpoint that the players of, I kind of think, looking for Org were trying to attempt for. We didn't really see how MIBR were about to set up, and will they go for a lobby? Will they try and take upstairs, utilizing the kind of buck, which we've seen them do in Cafe quite a lot? They've put specific pressure, I kind of feel, on their buck player to perform big whenever it matters.
Yeah, and unfortunately, obviously, in the previous round, he was completely cut out of the equation. Valkyrie just cut him in half.
Yep.
And you think about the verticality that can be offered on some of those points. If you're not combining that with good roam control, it's never going to end well. Because we saw how aggressive the roamers felt and free to be because there wasn't a response from MIBR towards the loss of a man.
Communication has been a big thing that they've kind of been slacking off. I think Cafe was a great example where, you know, they had different cameras set up, but there was no communication. For example, whenever Smoke, you know, a specific play where Smoke and Cafe got that triple kill, it was down to the lack of communication. Buck should have been able to hear the caller and say, smoke behind bomb, you open up above that smoke, that's a free kill. But it never really got to that point, which I'm still taken back by, that you can allow a smoke to do that. And if we're going to see that kind of same roadblock hit MIBR, then they could be looking for an early exit of this competition.
Yeah, obviously for the first time, this has actually come down to the third map, come down to the third wire, and for the first, well, for it being the first time, it's a bit of a weird one, because we have seen tighter matches go to 2-0s, and this has just been a sweep after a sweep, and I guess that puts more question marks over this game as to who is actually going to be the one that manages to find ground, and those little mistakes and those little miscalculations and errors, they cannot really be the deciding factor, because for both teams across the previous 2 maps, they have been such a big problem.
The attacks have been the thing that's let everybody down, not just an MIBR on their Cafe, but equally also LFO and Clubhouse. Now we get to see LFO on their defense Will they ramp up as many rounds? Will they go to like a 5-1 split? I don't feel it's going to be that simple. They already look as if they're a lot more contested in what they've done. You know, we had an excellent attack from MIBR with a very lackluster defense, questionable plays by Pulse, and then straight away, the rebound factor, which we didn't really see from both of them. There was never any rebounds. For the first time, we've finally seen a trade of rounds back and forth rather than a massive, 5-1, 5-0, 6-0, whatever scoreline it was. They've actually responded to each other.
It's a weird thing to see after the night of games that we've had so far. I think the losing team has only ever managed to pull 2 rounds out of today. Everything else has been 7-1, 7-2, 7-0, 7-0. And I almost forgot what it felt like to see teams go back and forth. And whether it's synonymous with the map and the playstyle, you know how we always talk about, well, regions have maps that they like, regions have maps. And this is the map for LATAM. It's Bank. They're comfortable with it. They're confident with it and stuff like that. And, I think it will make it more obvious when they make those little mistakes for me, or when they make questionable decisions, because we've seen their region run it so effectively so many times before.
Should we try and compare other teams to how they have their playstyles of Bank? Should we be comparing MIBR to a team like Liquid with that caliber? Should we be trying to, say, oh, they didn't do what they did? We shouldn't really be comparing them to that. We should be comparing them to their own playstyle, and playstyles, we'll see what more of MIBR and LFO have as ready to jump back into it, and still, it will be that Tellers that they locked in for, and well, the same operators, I'm sure, will be chosen, and we've seen that aggressive kind of standpoint from LFO. They had extensions into open area, for example. They had a Doc playing in there last time, and didn't see MIBR, see how they would set up. I still expect that they're going to try and revolve around the Buck and get nobbies upstairs and start opening up, because if you look upstairs, the multitude of angles you have is absurd onto the bomb site.
Yeah, it just allows you complete control over every kind of movement and angle below, especially with the conjoining soft wall that often lines up between the A and the B point. You can completely crack open most of the sight lines you want, and there will usually be at least some already done for you. You've got to keep control of it. You've got to keep it locked down. They've opted to bring the castle again. Curious to see whether they throw those. Well, actually, I say that. We generally saw them throwing them on the corridor and keep control of the southern side and main stairs and make sure they have the option of rotation, which again adds a bit of width to a point that can otherwise be, well, monumentally closed. If MIBR go for the lobby push and start cracking it open, that space allows them more kind of utility and possibility. But if we otherwise see the control get done, sorry, I was just a bit taken aback by that. I was nervous getting the opening frag, at least as Miracle suffers. That is the mute taken out of the occasion. But if we see them get that kind of vertical control and push down main stairs, well, then that becomes just a big open sightline into point on their own favor. The mute's doing a bit of work, stopping any drones swing wide as Cyber looks for this top control, but expect the first minute and a half of this of MIBR droning out and controlling top.
They'll take their time. They know that they need to win this, because if they don't, well, MIBR kind of went from a big joke this season, and they've just went full clown mode. They got their clown license if they lose this.
They pick it up from the nearest
Do you have yours? Don't you have your clown license on you?
No, unfortunately, it got taken from me.
Oh, don't worry. By the end of this tournament, you'll have it back. Do not worry.
Well, I can't, because my favorite team's
I'm a certified clown. I can give it to you.
My favorite team's already been eliminated, though. In Luchados.
Oh, please don't start.
Lanchados.
Come on, you still have looked forward to Shaiko.
Perdidos. M-King slowly cracking his way open across this hold on the southern side and making sure they can just limit the amount of movement that can go between the main stairs as Novice starts to dig across the top of this wall. Thermite is going to try and make his way, and they're going to actually frag grenade over the tops. They've opened it to the impression of impact tricking, but to be fair, we haven't seen a huge amount of that from the Latin American region so far. There goes the big wall, and there goes the frag grenade on the other side. They're looking for any kind of mute jammers or anything to otherwise stop the push, because at this point, they've got to do it via hard destruction.
So they're not going for upstairs. They are simply taking lobby, and that's it. They're trying to hold the rotations back by having somebody play Pillar Repel and eliminate anybody who tries to creep up into Banana. It's an old but gold strategy, which does work a charm if you have everything going for you, and I think that opening pick has really alleviated a lot of the pressure. And now, everybody holding angles from MIBR, and this should be a simple plant. Nobody can stop this coming in, and it should be a set round from MIBR, and there's a team kill as Bullet, he's bit the bullet, and Novi's, don't know what he's playing at, but Hugsword still goes for the defuse, and Novi tries to give that cover, and somehow he's been shot through the smoke. This is falling apart for MIBR, and I don't know how it's happened. How are they losing this? And the fact that you had the Sophia outside, or I think it was the Capitao, it means you've nobody ready to push in for the refrags. A 2v2, Diffuser has to be planted, essentially a 1v2, and honestly, Castle can stop this here and now. Cyber, so much pressure onto you. Can you deny this? Can you let MKing go for the plant? Yes, you will. It's successful. Now they need to try and get out of bomb site. They know exactly where the Maverick's going to be. He planted the Diffuser. That should be simple for them. There's one, but now MKing, he doesn't know where the dock is. He's rotated in towards the staircase. Angles being held, but they're still going back and forth. Neither one of them knows where each other's are. Still, Doc lies down, tries to creep in. Maverick holding firm, should have the pixel. Oh, what a shot from Doc. MIBR have made a round that looked impossible to lose a possible round win for Looking for Org.
Yeah, well played there from Looking for Org to pull themselves back in and just fight tooth and nail to keep the land and stop them being able to get the plant down. The utility cover wasn't quite there for MIBR as they tried to find their way in for their first attempt at the plant, and you do think maybe if they just had a little bit more, a little bit closer, they might have been able to get it off without so much lost, but can't give enough credit to LFO for pulling that back.
That's really sad to see. Because you know I'm a big fan of looking at teams and their strategies and their executes that they kind of go for. That looked perfect. And I don't know how they throw that. I really don't, Fluke.
What we've seen...
Give me strength.
What we've seen a lot from these two teams, and you said it yourself earlier, is their attacks. They're stumbling and they're making these little mistakes, and they're adding up and they're adding up, and they're, you know, ending in disaster.
But the thing about the attacks from MIBR was that their opening half was really bad. That opening half was great. They got the 2 kills as a 5v3. They had so much utility. They literally took the bare minimum to make a round a success, and they still fluff it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I guess we can see if they can replicate their magic on this first round, on this first point that has been returned to, where they shut it down very quickly. Now, curious to see how the change of dropping Pulse will alter what Looking for Org are doing. They've obviously still opted for the smoke, whether they're playing blue, I'm not quite sure, but they otherwise have the same loadout. But just with that little bit more roam-oriented information game. It's the Jaeger that is holding the top of blue now, with the smoke not far away, and the Valkyrie dug in there too, making sure that no one pulls something fast and tricky from dirt.
MIBR looking to take upstairs first, so just careful of any roamers. And to be fair, LFO have not been a team that has been scared of going for the roam game. But since it is the basement, we can expect there to not be any of those, but still, they're making sure the precautions are there, which I like to see. You know, they're actually taking their time, they do care about roamers, and Alpha looking already for a potential rotate, but Novice, he sees the barbed wire rustling, so he knows somebody's on the staircase, and luckily for Alpha, he hasn't crept any further than what he already has done. So Looking for Org now, they're looking to try and put him some pressure, but for the most part, MIBR just holding steady because they know that staircases in this particular bomb site is very easy to hold. Really, you know, the server stairs can be held in the main stairs, and of course, the spiral staircase, it's not available for the basement defenders.
Well, that is all the ADS burn up there. The drone feeding that information, and Smoke is yet again the solo player, as we saw Alpha rotate off. So he's going to try and hold this to the best of his ability. Uses the first of those smoke canisters to buy himself an extra 10-15 seconds, and then from that point onwards, Bullet's actually just going to move inside of it and start smashing the barbed wire. Still has 2 in pocket and has pulled back to the back of servers as Valkyrie rotates even further back, and they're doing a step-by-step cover my shoulder as I rotate system. But now he is very quickly about to become isolated. If he doesn't rotate now, that is him stuck in here for the foreseeable future, and it's just going to have to dig in and hold it to the best of his ability. Sees the drone swinging around. There's a person in dirt, a person above, and 2 people in the staircases. Pre-fires, Capitao is the bolt, but it doesn't quite hit. There's the charge with the shotgun. Can't find anyone. Does find someone, and the cover is there, but a big pick to take care of the Buck, who yet again is the first to fall.
Probably the operator, the least expendable one there. Everybody else does still have a role, and specifically Hugzord is alive, and that's the Thermite. Uses both breaches and both walls, and generically we only see the one wall be opened. Oh, and M-King from above catches out Miracle, who was in a questionable position in a rotation for him, which really shouldn't have existed. M-King trying to give cover from above, but they still have to bait out C4s, and there's one of them gone and have to pick it up. Cyber now going for the plant, but since the Maestro camera's there, this is a simple pre-fire. Again, the timing from MIBR has let them down, and looking for Orc, they win it again.
It's hard. It's hard to watch and kind of pull it apart at this point, because they keep rotating what they're doing well and what they're not. That time round, they were quick to kind of push him out of blue. They were quick to force all the defenders back to point, but it was fantastic use of utility by looking for Orc just to burn it all by the time they actually arrived at the doorstep. 2 C4s still in pocket when push came to shove. Panicked thermite charges breaking open every hole, and even when looking for Orc were making mistakes and rolling a little bit too close to comfort for the hatches above, they couldn't quite find any semblance of anything inside of it. CEO, we're going to swing to now on the 3-1 with looking for Orc, looking, well, it's similar to the first map for me right now. They're comfortable and confident in what they're doing. I think it's a solid play and layup of all of their strategies, and their tactics are coming together well, and MIBR just keep kind of stumbling. They keep dropping the ball or the grenade and not being able to find the semblance of solidity when it matters the most. Kind of not throwing to say, but not doing their best when it matters, and push comes to shove. That time round it was, I think panicked is a safe word.
Panic. MIBR, what do we do with you? What should we do with them, Fluke?
I don't know, maybe make them watch this back and highlight certain bits. BMH finally gets the ACOG pre-fire from the top window that he tried the first time round. This time successful as he takes Bullet out of the equation. Wasn't paying enough attention, and the Maestro spawn peek works. And still has time to go and run and put down the Evil Eye and Kanto corner alongside some barbed wire and rotate to the elevator. So he's done what he wanted to do in the previous time. He repeated what he got caught out on the previous time, and it just kind of, for me, that one little thing emphasizes MIBR's problem, is they just let stuff slip away. In the last time this happened, they shut it down instantly. And it's the same trick, and they've fallen for it.
So, MIBR losing that Sophia means that Maestro has now become a powerhouse of an operator, and even those castle barricades to an extent, there's no real way that they can eliminate those, as I doubt that Navi's going to waste some grenades to take care of them. So looking for, once again, just off a single kill in the early game has proved dividend for them. MIBR, now they can only force their way in through Skylight. There's not a whole lot of options for them. Maestro cameras, I'm sure, will probably be looking in towards Breach, more importantly. And even at this stage, like, since that first pick, MIBR have just slowed it down incredibly slow, and Miracle doesn't go for the shots. He can clearly see the man swing in. Now Thermite will try and open up the breach as it goes, and Miracle, you do see this, don't you?
I'm not quite sure what Miracle's waiting for. He pops a couple of bullets there and puts them into the shoulder of Hugzord. He's like tee-hee.
Is he feeling okay?
No, I just think he's playing with them now, and he's going to make a new bullet hole, and you would hope at that point Hugsord would at least maybe have a thought of response, but there goes, well, the drone drives them right on through. Alpha has rotated up from underneath in the meantime. BMH still buried in on the far side, so it doesn't allow them any leeway across that long corridor, as Cyber is going to have to try and work to get the man out of that side so they can safely plant. Still living in fear of the jump out or the run out, as we've seen them demonstrate in the previous round, but has the Capital bolts to at least mask. Hugsord finds RDZ in the meantime, taking care of an ACOG, but we've already seen Miracle not far away, and Maestro living his best life as he zaps the heck out of someone. With 25 seconds, this is becoming a familiar story for MIBR. Unfortunately, not to get in. Novice, in the meantime, finds a double kill and pushes hard into Janitors, refusing to let this slip as the diffuser is halfway to getting planted. They sneak around the back and find the castle as well, and there is MIBR grabbed by the scruff of the neck by Novice and dragged through that round.
Yeah, wasn't MIBR winning that round, that was Novice. Specifically with great aggressive play, a player we kind of highlighted can have those jet engine moments where he just goes off in a tantrum, and, well, looking for Org now, they drop yet again another round where they looked really solid going into that. That first pick, it slowed MIBR down so much. If only Miracle had hit that shot onto the Thermite clear head.
Yeah, that's
only.
Yeah, that's one of those moments that you'll look back on the VOD and be like, oh.
This is a big round now for MIBR specifically. They need this if they want to at least have a chance of going the second half. 4-2 split is great for defense, but, you know, if it's free for the attack, you've done well for yourself. And you look at the bans where, of course, Habana's off the board and so is Thatcher. That basement should be pretty impenetrable, and well, we did see that slip the first round for looking for, but then they kind of recouped themselves.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about it, is so far the 2 rounds that Looking for Org have won have been because they've made a couple of mistakes, and they've at that point Maestro had come quite far forward to offer some cover knowing the immediate plant was in, but they just kind of forgot about what was going on in Janitors. I'm also kind of curious, obviously, because they dropped the first kill from Janitors across conference table and then swung to get the man that was inside Janitors. You would have thought that would theoretically be the other way around and where the response was from Miracle, but we also know that Miracle was a bit sleepy in the previous round and didn't quite react to the man that he saw in front of him. Not going for the aggressive spawn peak this time for the 3rd time, and I think that's a wise move from the sides of Looking for Org generally, but you know, they've managed to pull it off the 2nd time, and usually that's when the spawn peak gets caught out, so who knows how it might have gone. I guess we'll have to imagine, but they're starting their steady close as MIBR have done pretty consistently. I think it's weird to see that this round and this game has so far just been made up of whichever team kind of accidentally makes the mistakes and drops the ball first, because that's when things start to unravel as Novice finds Alpha.
Oh, nice pick there. Definitely to kind of give MIBR the great headway that they've kind of lacked. And Novice has just went, you know what, guys? I'm just going to play my way. And it's working well. It's a good tune he's having. And good matching skin there with the MIBR buckskin, accompanied by the weapon skin as well. It's always nice to see.
Well, out of the rounds we've seen so far, Novice has been the opening fragger 3 times and the opening death once. So he's been quick to the punch each time. Hugsord digs Maestro, and again, that's a very big pick. Now, MIBR are a foot ahead, but this game, as we've already said, has been consistently that team just stumbling and dropping the ball. 5-2. Surely at this point, there's no way they can let this slip. I say fingers crossed. Flash round the corner and try and push against it as Miracle has to rotate from underneath. Highs is the last one left alive inside the CZO's office, trying to hold it down as the close down comes from multiple different sides. Finds Novice in and amongst all of the firefight and suffers a fraction of damage as the sneak round the corner does not pay off. Cyber finds one more, and it is just down to the castle inside to try and keep this as a split. Ooh, brilliant flick onto Bullet as M-King goes for the diffuser now, and there's the long shot, and Highs finds a triple. He's bringing this back in, but MIBR at the turn of the half managed to find some semblance of skill back.
Wow, they kind of got it together there in the end, and honestly, it should be a 4-2 split to MIBR, if we're being real here.
Yeah. It's the thing about it is, as I said, it's these little mistakes and these little issues that aren't met with the consistency of, oh, hey, we need to correct this, or we need to counteract this, or we need to act about this. They're a bit lackluster and a bit too reserved about responding to when things go wrong. And we're not just saying that they need to go on a frag bend and just throw themselves through, as we've seen a couple times, but they need to have a little bit more kind of initiative about it. As we saw Novice when he Novus as he charged through janitors on the round before and took out 3 people. That kind of, you know, attention to how late you are to the wire is what has been missing for me.
MIBR on the defense. Completely doable, I still think, for looking forward to try and pull us back into the sway of things. And, well, Montagne being chosen. Really haven't seen much of a highlight from that operator as of yet, apart from the drop shot pistol that didn't work in that last series. But still, Montagne, extremely powerful in the right team. And whenever I say in the right team, a team who can actually communicate, which more importantly, you're using that guy as a human drone. He's not there for frags. He is there to push out roamers and uses kind of like a Jackal-esque kind of thing, but it's constant communication. It comes with smokes as well, which is always handy and can really chew up a lot of the C4s. Like, how many times have we seen a Montagne stand in front of the planter and just eat up everything that comes out that way?
That's it. That's what he does, and he does it well, as you said, with communication, with teamwork, and with everyone kind of piecing together the idea that they need to hold it. I guess we've seen brilliant kind of utility usage from this game so far. We've probably seen more smoke pushes in this game than we've seen in a lot of others, and MIBR hopefully going to be able to respond to that. Bringing the Ella to try and keep control of Blue with those stuns on the top of the stairs, and it looks like SAPPHIRE is going to try and push down main and just keep control on that side and alleviate the pressure. Maverick has been a pretty big part of looking for Org's pushes as well, and they're going to try and set them up as steadily as possible. No ADS is being caught by the Monty, who's just going to start digging away at the barbed wire with the cover of the shoulder of the hard destruction, and Buck, who has the frags and can try and bounce them around the corner if need be. They're sending the drone round to get the information. Gonna surely see the 2 bodies at the bottom of the road, one of them being Cyber and one of them being M-King, and now Monty's going to turn the corner. Take the Ella mine in the face, the second one goes up, she's ready and raring, and they're going to take that as well as on side of a lot of smoke.
This is expected. Cyber has a Titan Killer in hand and can go off on one, as we know. He can see into the future, wielding all 6 Infinity Stones, and here goes the Monty, absolutely obliterated. That's the Power Stone for you, and still lurking away. He's ready for it. Looking for Org. They've came to a standstill, and there's Bullet even on the rotate, the C4, and again, obliteration. MIBR just putting everything into, and now RDZ. See if he can cook another nade, but will be met by a shotgun, uses his own shotgun, but I think the mute one's hit's just a little bit better. It's actually a smoke one, sorry. Same shotgun. What am I talking about?
Same shotgun.
Same shotgun. It's the Warden shotgun. Let's throw it in there. The sledge shotgun.
Please don't give our wares over to Warden. We see 4-3 MIBR since the for the first time since the beginning of the game. They're back a roundup, back in the lead, and back.
The boys are back.
The boys are back. I'm with
back
the boys, and they are back. CEO, we're going to swing up to. Castle's on the board yet again. Keeps some semblance of control. Similar loadouts, actually, across the board from both teams. And, you know, it works for them. Slightly less ACOGs currently from the side of MIBR. But we've got to think of how looking for Org, they were peaking a lot when they were on the top floor.
Nomad is the only attacking change that MIBR didn't opt for. So that will give them a little bit more coverage in terms of the aggressive nature that we know MIBR will play. There's C4s there on the roster for Made in Brazil, so certainly we can see rotates below Valkyrie, cameras and all that good shenanigans can come into play. Will looking for go for the lobby take, or will he go for Skylight? Because that kind of depends on where then the Valkyrie and even Mute would try and play if they're trying to use C4s. Hugs over Castle Barricades. Puts one in the double, so it basically denies all angles that anybody repelling could have, and that's typically going to be protecting the Maestro there, because he can sit behind the reinforcements, can sit in the cameras and just ping away, and even use the lasers, of course.
I think one of the things that we've seen more from the Latin American teams, especially during this game, is that they kind of set themselves up for a bit of a split push here across the lobby side and across the square skylight side. If you look at some of the EU teams, they'll normally throw everything to one side and maybe one operator to the other. They'll put everything on the square skylight and kind of go for the breach and go for the opening of the wall, keep the cover from stock trading and make sure they clean across the floor, whereas Latin America seem to kind of throw 2 on one, 3 on the other, maybe even 2-2 and then 1 on main stairs and try and pincer it like a hand coming from underneath, and it's been mixed results for me so far.
Mixed bag. Never know what you're going to get.
And it's just, I don't know, I think I kind of prefer it when they set themselves up a little bit more solidly for the cover. It looks like, again, they're throwing a lot down onto this square skylight side. They've obviously got the 1 man, or the 2 people on the windows, but I think BMH is just looking for an entry and Highs is looking for bodies. And from this point onwards, let's see if they can get this wall opened.
I do like having Sophia being played there, because she can eliminate the castle barricades and can, of course, give that great access in, specifically where Castle is hiding behind one of those. And there's the Fry kill. Cyber gone. A Jaeger getting killed by a grenade is, oh, the irony of it. I can see MIBR just jump out here.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, if I'm honest. It's kind of synonymous maneuver with this. There's the impact trick, and it doesn't catch. It just misses, and that's a bit unfortunate, because that did look like it was timed well to me, but that's how the Siege Gods deemed it. BMH is looking,
said so.
Yeah. BMH is looking for the opposite wall, hitting it low to make sure they can be able to get this one off as well. Had the impact trick, and that time it worked very, very well.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty important that actually hit, because it forces looking for Org into the only one breach that they have, and this one's a lot easier to control from Janitor's side of things compared to if the other one was going to be open. But Hugsword having a lot of issues now with the man in the rappel, and this is where I would honestly sacrifice the 1 kill for 1 by Bullet simply jumping out. That would be my ideal play right now, but Sophia has moved away from it, and it's gave Hugsword this great position. They still have Janitor's control, more importantly, and still trying to find wherever they can. Sophia back in the window. MIBR just holding firm, but there's an important kill, because that is Bullet gone. And that's the only guy who probably could have eliminated Sophia, unless M-King wants to sacrifice himself.
Well, Novice, I don't think expected to find the confrontation with RDZ underneath, but did with a shotgun. Was spotted by a drone, and I'm honestly amazed he pulled that out. Tries to peek wide against the man trying to enter, but there is still Hugsword playing behind the bomb's chassis, and with Thermite down, it's a 2-2 with Novice creeping around the back, but there's a body on a window and a body on the opposite side. Tries to lock off the frag, but can't quite get it, and there's the cover from the top of the skylight, and now it is a 1 versus 3, but with 12 seconds. Why did he peek that?
So stupid. You don't need to peek that. They needed to plant. They had one way in. You knew they weren't coming from Banana. You knew they weren't coming from Janitors. What do you have to worry about? You have a perfect head glitch to stop anything pushing in. They don't have time to go for the pickup and get the defuse down. Honestly, he could have run away.
That's whether that's a bad call or bad judgment or bad information, that's just not a good play.
That's just bad.
It's just bad. Hands around, back to a 4-4. We are level pegging yet again. They're not going to take CEO again. They're going to opt to try and hold on to Tellers, swapping the castle for the mute.
There's one guy there who I kind of think played it worse than the castle, and that's probably the mute from below. He tried to waste, he basically wasted his entire magazine on a down guy whenever he clearly seen nobody else was around. They knew one guy was on the windows. You expect the other guy to be in close vicinity of the thermite. If you don't hear the pickup, why would you try and prioritize the kill if you know you can't get it?
That's the thing. You know,
just lurk. Like they knew, like they had no idea he was there before he started shooting.
That's it. And at minimum, this is what they knew beforehand. They knew someone was on the stock trading at least 15, 20 seconds beforehand. They knew the other person was active on windows so could rotate to get the cover on there. They knew, just from those 2 bits of knowledge, there was already an existing crossfire on that top floor if they picked up from there. And they still decided to do it against a thermite that was down, and I'm trying to think of how far along they were, or whether it was on ground that they could have just got through the floor as well and got from underneath with the shotgun. Either way, it was a waste. It was just a life really thrown away, and an unfortunate turn of events just from a mix of bad calls and bad plays brings us back to 4-4. They're still in a good situation, MIBR. They're leading on the defense. They have the possibility, but at the same time, these little mistakes are really, really just costing the teams right now. Here comes, well, a fast-moving Ash. Alpha wasting no time at all, creeping up main stairs. You can see there's some people set up on opposite sides and holding angles and waiting for runouts and waiting for movement across the lobby side, but so far they're just going to try and let Ash make the moves that she wants as Highs creeps on the far side up blue stairs. Misfired Nomad, unfortunately, gets caught on, well, land that's not going to catch anyone as Alpha has kind of fallen to a little bit of hesitation. Maybe didn't expect to get this far with no one kind of there to fight them. Cyber is off and open. That's the nearest fight they'll get. Pre-fires come out, but I think that was actually from their own person as they give a little bit of information away, but this is otherwise a complete top floor hold done by the defense. They've thrown everything up there, and if they don't read into that, they could just walk into a massive trap here. Alpha has creeped around in the meantime to open again. Still not sure how they've got this far, but they drop Cyber. Novus is there to get the refrag, and the body's coming from the trade with the rotation, and there it is. They have control of open area now.
Yeah, and the refrag's just not existing for MIBR. If you're extending to open, Kishin kind of comes with that, and I'm not entirely sure why you would go for that. Weird one. But anywho, has gave looking for Org the way in, but there's the quick rebound. That has eliminated the only deadly flank that really looking for had going for them. They've forced pretty much all of them in now to the open area side of things. Oh, that's a big killer from Highs. Now alleviates all pressure really that I think that Thermite had putting down on them, and bullets above, and Thermite didn't hear the hatch getting opened above him, and that's Diffuser as well, and Bullet knows this.
I have no idea how they didn't hear that, but, well, it cost them their life now as they just have to hold this. They don't have to throw their life away as we have seen them do previously. M-King is still alive on the opposite side. Let them have the sight. Let them move around. You have all the intel you need, and you have the option for cover as well. You just need to play this smart. And there it is. Bullet finds RDZ. That is the second on the favor. At this point, this is surely MIBR's round, just from being a bit hesitant and being a bit slow. And that vertical control has really came out in their favor. Doesn't matter how quickly they get land inside. As we said before on this point, if you have vertical, you generally have the round.
That was a big emotion roller coaster for round where it kind of looks as if MIBR had a good standpoint there in the open area. They got a kill and then quickly refragged away, and then the kills came back in for MIBR. It squared it into a 3-on-3 and a 2-on-3, and then bullets above, and then just Bullet just froze up everywhere.
Ooh, just all over everything.
Just
Luckers.
Is that what your throwing up sounds like?
Like an old Street Fighter game.
I haven't thrown up in a while.
No. That's what ESL Prem's for, isn't it?
No.
Oh.
You're thinking of the GIG.
Oh, yeah. That's what the coaches do at Prem. Sorry, I forgot. Lockers. We return to. This was a good hold previously from MIBR. They locked it down pretty convincingly and very aggressively on the staircase. They didn't even start to put direct pressure onto the point. MIBR didn't let them get anywhere nearby with some clever shotgun work up on the staircase. Assuming they lock this down, they've obviously then got to rotate up to CEO, which was mistake after mistake, I think, from the fair bit. So MIBR have kind of got to keep their heads on their shoulders from this if they don't want it to start to slip away again. Looking for Org arguably have the most work to do at this point and could potentially look at maybe rotating away from trying to direct push down those stairs. It did not work very well. Your Monty got absolutely chewed up, and from there, so did everybody else.
All right, MIBR, you're in a great spot. You have a basement defense. If you let this one slip, then I worry for you. This should be a 6-4 scoreline, because it's a very standard defense for them. You know, it's the Lockers. They won this pretty convincingly, and LFO, they just fell victim of yet again another team underestimating the Titan Killer.
I took many lives in the previous round and many souls, as it were, and now it's just a matter of trying to see if, well, it can replicate the success. Worried about the drone above, and Maverick's worried about the entire door, as RDZ's going to just try and hard hold it, and they're going to start burning away at this drop down. If they can get this hatch open, they can really limit what Cyber and MKing can do. The first ADS is burnt, and the only ADS is burnt, just throwing one there and trusting it, and there is Buck not too far away with smoke grenades, and now Thermite is able to watch the rotation as well. You would assume if they can combine their luck at this point, especially with the Monty 2, they can at least get something, but there's the second ADS burn.
Monty flashes.
First smoke goes through.
Yeah, Monty flashes more importantly, but maybe they're bringing that to burn up the ADSs to allow, of course, the Buck to try and nade on in. So 3 people extending in towards the server, but the first blood will actually be found not even near the server, inside of sight. Is where Novi's will go down. I actually think that was a rotate from him, and well, still, there's players to be had. There's 2 of them stacked up in the server, and as long as there's still 1 guy behind the rack, nobody from looking for Org can push in towards that. So now they're going to try and turn their attention towards the main stairs, but there's Bullet peeking up, and now since they're all rotating away, it just allows Cyber to have his fun with the Montagne. Bullet playing a risky game below, but again, looking for Org, I just don't get what's happened to them. They've came to a standpoint whenever they should just focus on clearing out these guys in the stairs.
Yeah, they've spread themselves too wide and too far apart at this point, and you do just, you know, you look at the utility that they're bringing, you look at what they can actually do with it, and so far it's just been great usage that it's completely eaten up the push. Bullet takes care of a Thermite's drone there as Cyber just gets the double on the stairs, and Hugzord gets highs, and now it is just the Thermite on the opposite side, and you can see all of them are a bit frag hungry as they start to swing upwards and try and get the man inside, with Cyber going full ham, and well, there she is. And
I've told you about this gun. Are you finally believing?
hey, the people are the ones you have to convince.
Are you convinced?
Let's see, ask me again at LAN.
At LAN?
Yeah.
What, 2 weeks away?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be sitting here harking around talking about the Titan Killer and you still not believing me whenever we have so many more playdays to look forward to, Fluke.
I know, well that's the thing, that's why I want this, I want it to continue over all the playdays. I don't want you to stop yet, because you need to convince the people.
It should be a joint motion.
The people need to hear.
You know, how come, you know, a guy with, as, you know, I've forgotten the name of it. A beaver. I forgot what a beaver was. Can create a movement off an ACOG on a gun, which isn't going to change anything. You know, why can't I, you know, get the Titan Killer going? How did I forget it was called a beaver? How did I forget that one? I was about to say badger.
No, that's the other. That's the other guy.
They're a lot more common in the UK, I think, badgers than beavers.
There's a lot of animal-based siege YouTubers. Trying to coconut bra is.
It's not an animal.
Gives milk.
That does not define an animal.
6-4 match point. We head back up to CEO.
You have some weird analogies, my man. You really do.
CEO, which was, I want to say thrown away, but it was a bit bitter towards the. Like, if they'd even held it, obviously it was 2 versus 1, Hugzord had suffered a fair bit of damage, and the aggressive play from the mute underneath didn't help. It was, you know, they could have found a way around, and they just both threw their lives away one after the other.
ACOG, though.
Yeah. I think we'll see if they can fix it, I think. See if they can just be a bit more controlled, a bit less worried.
I'm kind of curious to see why they have switched out the Maestro for a Doc. Because that one doesn't make any sense to me. Maestro just gives so much more value. You think of the information that was gathered thanks to the Maestro camera, which admittedly did get the castle killed as he peeked into the pings, but overall, it's just, it gives it so much more versatility compared to what Doc does. Because as soon as Doc dies, then that's his gadget useless. Maestro lives beyond the grave.
Yeah. And the thing about the, I mean, obviously when we saw Looking for OG this, they brought both the Doc and the Maestro, and they were using Maestro aggressively to kind of window peek and stuff like that, whereas, I don't know, maybe they just want M-King to be a bit more active on the roam and kind of shut down from behind, because they've realized that Looking for Org sometimes aren't so great at covering their backs. But this was a point where they were quite good at covering their backs, and they had the crossfires, so it's just, there's a lot of curiosity about the decision to swap which one you bought there. Hit on the Nomad, but I'm not quite sure who.
That was the Mute who was just crouching, or not even crouching, proning across, and that's simply to bait out the air jab. And this worked to charm, because whenever you are in that prone state, you don't get pushed back as far, and well, walls have been opened, impact tricks have failed. Oh, this is going to be even worse. It was pretty bad last time for MIBR whenever they couldn't stop both of them, but they didn't even stop one this time. And it's just completely opened up the site, and Castle's just walked in, didn't even get the kill on BMH, and he just walked right back in himself, and that's a weird engagement. Castle should have had that, and this is looking like a Looking for Org round.
Well, M-King at least does some damage back the other way and drops down the Ash on the other side, but again, they have this point open. They have the entire half of it, and now it's just a matter of finding a little bit more semblance of balance before they push it in. The bomb chassis from deep finds the head, and there's another one for Highs and Miracle, though, to balance it back the other way. 3 versus 2, 2 defenders left standing, but only 30 seconds in the diffuser in no man's land. They have to find a way to creep this in and then get this down. There is the man lying on the floor just to the left. They're going to try and flash him out and push it, and the other is watching the far side to try and get the one that is on the windows. They know where Cyber is, and Cyber is being, well, he's doing his best not to fall victim as the diffuser starts being planted. M-King finds another, but they're gonna stick the plant now just behind the table. Highs find Cyber, and it is all down to the Doc, who we questioned the bringing of. They hop out over the side. They're worried of the windows. Great bomb placement, but they need the information to find where they are. Knows there is a body on those windows. Knows they are waiting for the sound. Needs the man inside before they can even begin to close down, because the person is always going to be outside. Have to get the square frag first, but they are not sure where it is. Could be on the balcony, could be anywhere, and it does not matter. 6-5 we fall to.
MIBR. The failed impact trick really cost them, but even more so, the lack of information cost them big time. You think about in the previous round where Maestro was brought on the defense, it gave constant information, it gave pings. There was no information that round whatsoever. Jaeger was useless inside of Janners. If he had some constant pings, he could have wallbanged that Nomad, planting default beside the windows, and on that bomb site, as soon as the diffuser gets planted, very similar to how Cafe plays out, it's just, it's impossible. Because as soon as you jump out, you're never going to be able to rotate back in time.
Well, Tellers is where we're going to swap to now, and if we look at how this was held from MIBR before, it was generally top-heavy. In fact, it was almost entirely top-heavy. The quick movement from Looking for Org got them into open and got them at least some bodies, but from then on they struggled to shut it down. What they need to look at this time round, for me, is that top floor. They've got to try and find more control up there, or at least make MIBR not as comfortable as they were upstairs, because all they had to do was find the diffuser carrier, drop him through one of the many hatches, and then just hold angle.
Tellers now. Bullet had a big thing to say inside of this round, and the last time it did happen. Let's see if Looking for Org are going to change up their tactics, because last time it was a very heavy open area take, and that was presumably just to take the fight to MIBR and not allow their roamers to lurk in that side of the map. Could we see them switch things up and go lobby? And certainly lobby we've seen displayed from MIBR around, which looked so good, but fell oh so short. MIBR also taking the upstairs control, so open areas kind of been sacked off, and instead the reinforcements being displayed inside of long desk means that they're really going to try and upstairs hold it.
Well, Heiss is trying to find the long angle firefight. No bites, unfortunately. And this is, they're generally playing it more conservatively across Banana, as we saw Looking Frog play it on their defenses. And just going to try and hold the angle, and this is where we said they need to try and make it a bit more uncomfortable for the defenders on the top floor. And Alpha's going to, again, try and replicate that, make a section of a crossfire, but it's also worth noting that time is a big thing. And it's often a cited thing is if you leave your people on these windows for as long as you're trying to set up for, by the time you actually come to push the point, you've forgotten about them. They're too far out, too far away, and they're useless to what you need to accomplish. Setting up the same nomads they did before and trying to get the same semblance across lobby as they did before, and M-King is just, well, waiting, and we're letting them push into him. Not going to throw his life away yet. It's the smart move. You're on match point, and I think at this point throughout this game, nobody wants the coin flip of whether they're leading this on attack or defense.
Looking Frog, just scanning their way through at the moment. So they are aware of the upstairs control. They haven't really added on to anything as of yet. And the more bodies that are alive for MIBR in the late game, typically the better they shape up. Just waiting their time, so lobby take is definitely in their hands, and they don't really know what to do. They're very timid. They haven't moved up closer because they know the main stairs angle is being held, because them themselves, they also held this on their defense. So you always have to be aware of the things that you do onto others, because those can be done onto you equally. BMH Fragmite here, which is never the correct decision, as you need the hard breach to push into sight, but perhaps they're looking to buck their way in through the soft destruction walls that are available. They know somebody's on the main stairs, and there's one creeping down the top of it, but very quickly being refragged away as that's first blood. Cyber, he draws up, and he's trapped down here.
But it was a very, very big pick to make. That is the Thermite off the table, and it really limits. And there's the second RDZ, and they are falling one after the other now in this back corridor. Happy and confident to rotate back a bit further forward, and Heiss at least finds one rotating up from underneath, with Miracle having to grab the diffuser and having to do something. Novus finds the trade. It's a 4 versus 1. All the doors on the point are closed. The charges are going off, but at this point, at this moment in this round, MIBR, against a lot of odds, clutch it, and they set themselves up to move forward in this bracket.
That was not easy for MIBR. They really had to work for it. But they made it a lot harder for themselves than I think Looking For Or could ever have done. There was just that round number 3 on that Tellers was so disappointing. I cannot put into words. I don't know. You really have to go back and look at that round because it was horrific.
There is a huge amount. MIBR need to go back to the drawing board about this, and I guess one of those things might include watching this next match, because whoever wins it is who they've got to face in the next round. We will see you after some adverts for Semorg Team versus Team 1 Esports.
Predict the outcome, win the game. Get live coverage and schedules for your favorite tournaments. Analyze, predict, and vote to gain points. Compete with other esports fans and climb the leaderboards. Strafe, everything esports. Download now on iOS and Android.